All right, welcome back, guys. We are back with the Day One podcast. We are going to talk about the latest events in Utah with Jenay. Jared, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, first, congrats to both of y'all.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
So, for anybody that doesn't know, they got engaged a little bit after the match.
This is a good week.
Yeah, Jenay had a good week.
I've known Jake for quite a while, and then Jenay over the last year and a half now.
Yeah.
So anyway, congrats.
Thanks.
For both
Thank
of
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a cool week. Can't top that one for a
Yeah,
little while.
that was
Yeah.
a solid week for you.
And then the rainbow picture, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was
Cool.
that was when the moment kind of like, so when we were thinking about, or when I was thinking about doing it that day, we got out there and I'd kind of just said a little prayer and was like, hey, if this is the day, like a little bit of a sign would be a little helpful, right? And we were wrapping up with the work stuff that we were doing and it started raining a little bit. And I was like, oh, this sucks. Like it's raining. It's like, and I looked back and it was not like pretty behind us. And I was like, well, we might get rained out of this. And even the photographer said we might get rained out. And we went down and did some more riding shots. And then we came back and she was like, hey, I want y'all to go sit down on the peninsula. And then it like immediately like lit up. And there was this huge rainbow. I mean, it went almost across the whole sky. And it was there for what, 20 minutes? 15, 20 minutes. And that's when I was like, all right, that's the sign that I was looking for. Nice. Like he's
And then
he's
he started sweating, acting weird. I could feel his 180 heartbeat from 2 feet away from him.
Yeah, I had jeans on, so I didn't have the big box sitting in my pocket, so I didn't know how I was gonna go obtain the box sitting next to you. So
It's okay. Still pulled it off.
yeah, heart rate was about 160 when I got up to go get that box.
So funny.
Wasted no time when I got back. Just stood you up and
Yeah.
so.
I caught Jake, a week before?
Yeah.
Yeah. He let me know where he was one day, and I was like, I just dropped it on him. I was like, so you're asking her, right?
Yeah.
And so I found out. I waited until y'all left to tell Casey.
Yeah.
So she wouldn't be weird.
Yeah, because like she's terrible at, like if you see her, she's horrible at hiding stuff.
She had a few of her friends know. They had an idea.
Yeah. But you didn't even know for sure when. So.
No, he told me before he
Yeah.
left. He was like, if a good opportunity comes, I'm gonna do it. But I'm not like, if the good opportunity doesn't happen, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And anyway, I thought that was cool.
I like it that way.
It worked.
It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
It was good.
It was very special.
It was a special day.
You did good, babe.
Thanks, babe.
So the way y'all's relationship started,
Okay.
Here we go.
we had a strict policy at the tactical games where you couldn't date, employees couldn't date competitors. And it was the championship, and I saw y'all talking to each other, and I walked up to Nick, and I was like, that's going to be a problem. And he was like, no. I was like, yeah, it is. I see the way that they're looking at each other. That's going to be a problem. And then Jake tried to hide it for like a month, and I was pissed because like I knew. And anyway, like he'd be texting, have a shit grin on his face, and I was like, God damn it! Like I know what's going on.
You probably knew before we did.
Yeah.
Like,
So
That's fucking hilarious.
yeah. Anyway,
because we were truly friends at
I
nationals.
did say I thought this was the one. You can attest to that.
Yeah.
I said that to you
Yeah.
and Nick a long time ago. I was like, hey, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think.
I ripped Jake,
Stuck with it.
and he was like, "What am I supposed to do?" Da, da, da. And I was like, anyway, said some not nice string of words. So, trying to run a professional organization over here, and we're dating the competitors. So
I said I was going to put a ring on it. I put a ring on it.
I heard it was either marry her or you're fired.
yeah, I mean that's that's kind of how it went. So
Kind of how it went.
Well,
Yeah.
it worked out in the end.
Worked out in the
I
end.
remember coming here really early on, and we were like, Jared doesn't know.
Jared 100%.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I was at the gym.
The worst one was the, hey, when she first came in and you were like, hey, you want to go to Dahlia's for dinner? And I was like,
And And I was like, bye,
I
Jake.
said, is that
Have fun at dinner.
yeah, I said, is that a we or me? And you go, Jenay's coming. And I go, awesome. We'll be there.
That's when I was like, all right, here
Just
we are.
newsflash, I'm not retarded. So there's that.
Well, were we dating back then even when I came here the first time?
No, Peyton that night.
Yeah,
was
your
when
daughter
Peyton
said we're dating,
Was like,
so you
this
can
is
thank her for
who
that.
did he tell? Nick and Amanda. Was it Nick and Amanda or who? I forgot who it was. But she looked over and goes, "This is Jake's girlfriend." And I looked at you and was like, "Peyton said it."
That's right, because
Yeah.
we were not dating yet, and then Peyton said it. And the rest is history after that. Jake
So it's
asked me to
Peyton's
date.
fault. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
So anyway, congratulations. Super proud for you
Thanks.
guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That's cool. It was a good
All
week.
right. Moving
Utah? Yeah.
On. So won again.
I did win.
That's cool.
Yeah. Very different one,
Very
though.
proud of the way that you did it. Had to work for this one a little bit. So starting not in first is my specialty. So at least
Quit rubbing off on me.
yeah. Just go ahead and dig in your grave and burying yourself and like filling out your tombstone on like the first one or two events
Yeah.
is something I've always done. And then like slowly climbing out of it throughout the weekend. Gotten older, so that doesn't really happen as much for me anymore. But anyway, yeah, I was super proud of it. And then the mental fortitude it takes to come back when things aren't going your way, especially first stage was one that you probably thought you were going to do well on that we'll talk about first. But, you know, we've been working hard on long range, and then it was a long range-ish stage, but didn't really, it was different. You know, it wasn't, I mean, not that the stage was bad, it just different. It wasn't a traditional long range stage.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, stage one, tell me about it.
So stage one, we did the movers, which is like these robot targets that move at different speeds, back and forth. We were in this long range bay, which I don't even know how big it was because they wouldn't let us range anything before we went out there. So I believe it was about 400 yards based on word of mouth.
Yeah.
And visual. It was about 400 yards, and there was 4 different movers out there, and there was like 3 on the left that were moving laterally at different speeds, and the furthest one was pretty far, maybe close to like 350 or 400, and then the other 2 were maybe like, the first one was maybe around 150 and the other one like 250 ish. I didn't range it. So, and then there was another one on the right that was moving forward and back, which was your easiest target and the one that I completely missed.
Yeah. Didn't see.
Didn't see. Yeah, didn't see it. So I wish I would have seen it because it would have been a ton of easy points on that one. But unfortunately, I made a mistake there, and I learned my lesson on that. But the way that it worked was like we were in the bay was kind of like hidden back behind a longer bay. So when we'd walk down towards it, there was a bay to your left and then an open field with mountains to your right. And when you walk down to the end of that lane, the bay was deep into like that back bay around the corner, so you couldn't see anything downrange, but you could see the RO and the current shooter, and like the what is the brand called that does that? Their team, Marathon Target. Their team was like camped out over there too, taking scores and stuff. So it was a blind stage in that you couldn't see any of the targets, or you didn't know what distance they would be at, how many, where they were. You didn't know anything. You just knew there was going to be these moving targets, and you had to go shoot them for points. And the only thing I had heard from other people so far is that they had gone through a lot of ammo. I heard one person went through 4 mags in this 2 minutes that we had to do it. It was 2 minutes, right? 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
So that's a lot, and I didn't think that realistically I would shoot through 2 or 4 rounds of ammo, or 4 mags of ammo, sorry. So I brought 4, but I was like, I'll probably shoot 2 or 3, and I know that I have to shoot fast, that's it. But getting out there, you like go and get staged on this platform, rooftop sort of thing, and then he says go, and then they pop up from behind the berms and start moving. So when you're walking out there, you can't cheat and like see where they are or anything like that. Realistically, like you said before, like we train long range a certain way, I guess, like, you know, static steel targets, and you know, usually you know the distances in tactical games, and maybe there's some hard targets in there, but even if you have an unknown stage, in the past it has still been the static targets. So this one was really unique and felt like nothing I'd practiced at all. It felt like everything I knew about long range was irrelevant, which was kind of a bummer for me because I felt like I had done a lot of work on that and then didn't get to show any of it. And it doesn't mean that it's not useful work because for sure we will see stages like the traditional ones in the future again. But I had never shot movers before and I didn't know how to prepare for them in that way. And honestly, I don't know how training for that is kind of hard because the movers are very hard to get your hands on.
Yeah.
They cost a lot of money to rent. Like, I don't even know. They don't even put
Don't act like you don't know. You know, you researched it. All right. Back to marathon targets.
Yeah. So the marathon targets are really expensive and hard to get access to shoot, especially for civilians. So the opportunity to get to shoot those was really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely grateful for that. It was an experience and I have no idea how I would like train for that with my rifle in real life prior. And this is a regional match. And I had to kind of keep that in mind that there was likely going to be some learning or growing pains in this one, but that it would be really valuable to get that out of the way at this event and then have that experience going into nationals.
Yeah. She asked me to put on her hockey gear and get the Red Rider out and just run through the street and have her just go waylay on me. I wasn't opposed to it as long as I wouldn't get hit in the face.
Yeah. Accepting volunteers.
Now so I've shot the movers. I shot the movers at the championship, or not championship, the
Sniper Challenge.
Mm-hmm. And then 3 times at Mammoth Sniper Challenge. And each time I had a bolt gun, which I was thinking about earlier today. So like, you didn't get to like accuracy, or at Mammoth I had a bolt gun, the primary shooter. So like I had a mag of 12 rounds in it and I was running a bolt the whole time. But then at the Sniper Challenge was the first time I got to shoot at them with the AR. And so like, I think shooting at them with a bolt gun, you have to really learn a lot every shot. 'Cause you don't have 30 rounds in your magazine or whatever. And then you also don't get the luxury of just like bang, 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 you know, the shooting's quite a bit slower. So, but it's a weird thing. It's kind of like shooting clays. Like, I wouldn't say it's the same. It's definitely some like the skill set maybe, or maybe the mind. It's one of those things like, some people have it immediately and some people it's like a learning thing.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway.
I think where I went wrong on that is I just had the mindset of normal long range instead of having the mindset of maybe like clays or like literally tossing everything I know out the window for a moment and being like, this is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of thinking about, you know, that's about 350, I'm going to go here. Like, like being really focused on that, like just kind of being intuitive with shooting. So that was my biggest mistake on that. And I paid for it. I put myself in a real big hole there. I also didn't get that right hand target, which was so easy points, layups all day. And I missed out on that. So I was shooting these ones on the left that were moving quite a bit. And, so things I learned were like, the movers take a different mindset and I need to respect that and be able to kind of shift gears on that. And then also take an extra second to survey what's in front of me before I get in the scope.
So like you'd shoot them how long before they pop back up?
15 seconds.
15. All right. Yeah. At the Sniper Challenge, I think they were down for a minute. So there was a lot of downtime, like waiting. Same thing happened to me though. At the Sniper Challenge, there was one at like 7 something that Justin saw it, but he never told me about it. And, I kind of got tunnel vision on the 3 that I did see. And then the same thing, you know, there was one out there that we didn't shoot at the whole time and we didn't do well on that stage. So not that was a layup one, but I mean, let's say like you shot that 3 times throughout the stage. If you would have shot that 3 times, you're right up there with the top scores.
And if they were down for a full minute, you could have potentially had everything clean and been waiting.
Oh yeah. There's 100% times that like at the sniper challenge, there was 100% times that we had all 3 down, and I'm sure that one at 7 whatever was just out there.
Yeah. Like you had the opportunity.
Yeah.
With the 15 seconds, that's why I stayed so busy on those 3.
Yeah.
Because I would hit them, and I don't know, it really wasn't that long.
Yeah.
Like I was taking a lot of rounds to get it down.
That's,
So,
I mean, it's cool though. It's a different thing. And then I don't know that it's different. It's a different kind of stage. It's a different kind of shooting. I don't know that it takes the place of a long range stage, but like it's different, you know, to shoot at those things. It's always fun. It's just different, you know, so.
yeah, I felt a little conflicted about it. Like, I don't know how to make it more skill focused on like the normal long range. Like, can you merge the two where you have some movement, but also like some long range traditional skill mixed into it? And
thinking about
I don't know.
like having a static target that you have to shoot before you can shoot at one of the movers, or, you know, something like that would be cool anyway.
Yeah, to kind of balance it out.
Yeah.
In my opinion, but I don't have enough experience to have a better idea of what I would like more.
I'm trying to think back in the first year that me and Justin did Mammoth, because we did really well on the mover stage. But I don't think that I've ever shot the marathon targets where there was also static targets there to shoot at. It's just been the movers every time on those stages. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe it's too hard to RO it. I don't know.
Well, if you're doing points, you just come up with a point value for that steel target.
Yeah.
And then the further away it is, or the
We've
lower
done
the MOA, the higher the point value could be.
We did do it at Mammoth where the mover was with a pistol. And then once you shot the mover with the pistol, then you went to the rifle. But that was a gimme. I mean, those things are huge.
Right.
And it was like 15 yards away.
Sure. Just mag dump.
Yeah. I think me and Justin probably shot 30 rounds in half a second. Just like 3 guns in the bucket. But anyway, yeah. So stage 1.
I had fun, felt conflicted about it, dug myself a hole.
It was looking at the scores, like the usual suspects that do really good at long range did not do well at long range.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely a different kind of thing for sure. So going into stage 2, now
Stage
you're behind.
2, yeah, pretty far behind. But it was echo bike only, and you had essentially 50 rounds of pistol, 50 rounds of rifle to shoot, and you had to earn those rounds via echo bike calories. So your goal is to complete all 100 calories on the echo bike and thus have all the 100 rounds to shoot throughout the 13 minutes, I believe it was. And you could only shoot 10 at a time. You had to shoot rifle first and then pistol. So if you were maximizing every single round, you'd shoot 10, you do 10 echo, 10 rifle, 10 echo, 10 pistol until you finished out all of your rounds, which is 5 rounds of each.
And then at the end, you could earn calories, right? Did anybody do that or no?
In the female field, no.
I don't think many. If anybody did in the entire competition, it was a handful of folks.
Okay.
Yeah, not many.
I think Panchik told me that Khalifa like hammered the calories the whole time, and I think he may have got extra. I don't know.
Which
Not
is
for
where
sure
you
on
get
that.
athletes with different strategies because he's not as good of a shooter yet.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'll just hammer down on the fitness and get my points there.
Yeah.
So, but if you were actually taking an attempt at the shooting, I don't think that it was possible to finish it for the females, but your shot cadence would have to be super fast.
Well, and I think Nate did all of his calories in like 20 or 25 seconds, and he didn't get all of his rounds off. He was loading his last round of pistols, and I think he said he got 5 of 10 in the mag,
And then just shot
and
it.
then dropped the rest, loaded the mag, and shot it.
So that's
Drum, yeah.
Yeah. And
that's
he-
the caveat with it.
And he can hammer down
can,
a bike.
yeah, he
So
can.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like you had to load your own magazine. So your judge, I do my 10 echo, and then my judge would hand me a handful of 10 rounds of rifle that I have to walk to the line and load my rifle mag with, which is very cumbersome. Like there's a lot of, it can get messy.
Yeah.
And realistically, like I probably could have just stood there and loaded them all and then walked to the line instead of like trying to do 2 things at once. But anyways, that took up a lot of time. So you could really push the echo bike pace because you have the forced rest of loading your magazines. And you have to be a thinker and like be keen when you get off the echo bike because you can't be fumbling too much because you have to be smooth. I really don't have much to say about the event. Honestly, it was fine. It was a good event.
That's
It's a
what we
good
did
test.
in Idaho. We did one where it was burpees.
Mm-hmm.
You did burpees and like it was over the yoke, and the yoke was like 2 or 3 foot off the ground, I think. And so you did a burpee and you did 10, and then you got your rounds and you got to go shoot. And the guy that was handing me the rounds like handed me my 10 pistol rounds, but it was more like handed me dirt, and my rounds were like in the dirt.
Oh, man.
And that was the only malfunction I've ever had since 2019 with a 2011, and it was nothing against the gun. It was literally I was like, this thing's gonna run. I don't care. And just started jamming dirt into my magazine with a couple of rounds. It was not loading with rounds. I loaded dirt into my magazine, and the rounds happened to go in. And the follower got stuck after like 3 or 4 rounds. So then I was like banging it on I got all of them off, but the follower got stuck for a second. And then I launched a round out of the magazine when they slammed.
Yeah.
the round in it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I
Made me
definitely
think
had
of
the
that.
potential to do stuff like that when you're walking with 10 rounds in your hand.
Yeah.
At least for females, I could speak to that. But it was just a good stage. There's nothing really crazy to say about it. There wasn't much strategy to it. It's just put your head down and do your work and shoot at a cadence that you can shoot well at. So
I like that style of stage, I guess, because like you can't really outwork your shooting, and then there's enough shooting that you can't not shoot, and you can't just hammer it. It doesn't really allow you to. You have to be good at both.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you have to keep a high relative intensity with whatever the movement is to try and finish, but then you also have to shoot.
yeah.
Too. So it's balancing the time and then hammering the fitness to get back to the line. And those aren't. I mean, they're probably not super exciting to watch, but it's a good event.
Yeah.
Like template or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
I liked it. I liked the fact that not many people in the competition at all were able to finish and get the extra calories. I think that style of event is good enough as is, weighed on the fitness and shooting that is written.
Yeah.
My
So
personal opinion, I think there should be one stage a weekend that's not necessarily a full graveyard, but maybe a graveyard stage.
Yeah.
One
It
graveyard
didn't
stage.
right, and we had that.
And honestly, it's really good to program a graveyard stage with just a bike, and you're not having to move a bunch of equipment around to reset. I mean, that's
Yeah.
super smart.
Yeah.
Sure, relative to the other stages, it was good that one wasn't the graveyard stage, given that we had the sled one at the end, which I would deem as the graveyard stage.
I think they both were. If you ask me my opinion, because not as many people finished the Echo Bike stage.
True, I guess that too.
Stage
3.
You won that stage.
Yeah, I won the second stage, which was needed.
Did not expect that.
Thanks, bro.
I messaged Jake, and I was like, tough loss on stage 1, and here comes stage 2. She's gonna have a deep hole coming out. I was like,
Because the Echo Bike?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
'cause Blair and Calorina are there, and
Yeah.
they can push calories on those things. I mean,
And we just weren't sure how the stage was going to be like play out, because sometimes there are stages like that the fitness matters a lot.
and then
Yeah.
And
Corinna, she can
Corinna was-
probably
she
crank
can
on a
hammer
bike
down.
too. Yeah.
She was with me for pretty much the entire stage, I would say.
But there's some stages that like the fitness matters enough that like if you get to it at the end, like it's like the burpee stage.
I get it.
The
Yeah.
fitness was very beneficial to get to at the end quickly,
So
Yeah.
then from there, you went to stage 3.
Yeah, we had an O course instead of our long run for this weekend. The O course was about 300 meters, I believe, roughly in distance, if that. And how it worked was like you got released up these sand dune hills. There was 2 large sand dune hills. You came down and then you wrapped to your left into this like pretend desolate city. And there was cars that you had to go left and right around, and then another car that you went over. And then once you cleared the car, there was a fake little house thing. There was a really narrow like thing that you had to squeeze between, and then some like really small doors to get between. And then there was like a huge get over thing, like you're climbing through a massive window, and then a sprint to the finish. So really short. And it was a little bit spicier than I had imagined it would be. I got done and I was on fire in my hamstrings, and my heart rate was real high, and I was like, dang, okay.
Who
a
won
little
that
spicy.
stage? It was that Sessions or something, right?
Jordan Sessions,
Yeah.
I think, won that stage.
She beat Jenay by like half a second.
Okay.
Yeah, she got 107. I got 108.
It's an inch and a mile. Still lost.
Right.
She
Still
freaking
lost.
won.
It doesn't matter.
Hats off.
Second place.
She went like right after me, I think, or one after me.
Did y'all not go in order on that?
No, we did. I think it, but we got out of order because one of the girls wasn't ready, so I think we skipped her.
Because I know Corinna went like an hour after you, and she was in the
An
next
hour? No way.
I think it was an hour. It was a long time because you had already come back to the booth with me and then walked off. And then she was like getting her vest ready, and then she ended up going like after that. So
That's
it was a
surprising
while.
because she's fast.
She's very fast.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of
I just didn't
powerful
think
moves.
I wasn't trying to throw shade at anybody. I just didn't think that you guys went in order. I thought that it was like a
We got a little out of order.
like, hey,
'cause-
if you want to go, like come up and
yeah.
run it.
So
I'm more surprised she didn't win. Like,
Yeah.
she's fast and she's
Yeah.
pretty shifty.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I guess we just got the luck on that one. But that stage, the way that the way the stages are partitioned out is usually in like 15 or 20 minute increments,
Mm-hmm.
and we had 5 athletes per heat for that 15, 20 minutes, whatever it was.
And y'all were going like at a minute 10.
Right.
Like,
So there's tons of dead time. So if
Yeah.
you did miss your heat, that was one that you could come back later and still
okay.
fit it in. So
Yeah.
if that was the case, then whatever. You're still getting it done.
I
But
think Panchik won the guys.
yeah, he got like 55 seconds or 57
What was your
seconds.
time?
108. It's pretty fast.
Yeah.
I think those hills were a big spot to make up time. But it was only worth 50 points, which was curious to me because usually when we do a long run, it is worth 100 points. And I understand that this is only about a minute long.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they were like 50 points for that stage because it's so short. But how do you, if that's replacing the long run, it was just kind of interesting. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I was just like, kind of curious that like usually we have 100-point stage there and this is only 50.
We used to do a physical floater that was worth 50 points and then a shooting floater that was, or aggregate, whatever, that was worth 50 points. And like kind of the reasoning was 50 of your points of this stage is this pure fitness thing. And then 50 points of this stage is pure shooting. And like one would be on day one and the other one would be on day two.
Correct.
It'd be like a short shooting deal and then a short fitness deal.
That makes sense.
But yeah.
I think it was solo though. Like that was our only 50-point stage.
correct.
Yeah.
There was no shooting only. How did you like it instead of it being a long range or a long run?
I thought it was very fun and it was a breath of fresh air to not have a long run in an event. I think just the monotony of going to stage after stage and always having a long run is a little bit mentally wearing, and I mean obviously wearing on your body too. So it was nice. Although run is usually something that I can gain some ground on, it was outside of that I was like honestly great. I mean I can still probably do okay in an O course. I'd be curious if you compared like if we ran that my same group ran a long run and did the O course, like I wonder how the standings would compare on that. It might shake out to be about the same thing,
Yeah.
Kind of close, I think, but I
but
don't know.
not.
I don't know. I mean, I think Corinna has a pretty good history of running, like winning the runs.
Yeah.
I'm not real sure. Well, I'm sure that she has a history of that, but I don't know if y'all have done a long run together or not.
I don't know. I think nationals, but we had waves, so we weren't by each other. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
how we
Well,
stood
and
up to
then
each other.
the separation wasn't, but
But like runners still won. That's
Yeah.
what the thing is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what like I didn't want to change. Like when I had control of programming when I owned it and you were programming, like I was never a good runner. So I didn't want to take the runs out because then everybody would be like, he doesn't like running and that's why we don't run.
Yeah.
But like it was always kind of on the back of my mind that like we should probably start switching this long run up for something else every now and then instead of just having a pure running every single time. But yeah, man, I regret not going to that event because it would have been nice to go to the long run and have to.
It was very
So
different. Like we
freaking
didn't have a long run, and honestly, the way that your body feels at the end of the weekend, and even after day one in general, I'm jumping the gun on this a little bit, but like after day one, I didn't feel like I normally do. After day one, I was a lot better recovered. I didn't feel like I had worked out as hard just because the stages on day one that we had were the easier fitness ones of the list, whereas the last 3 were the harder fitness stages. So usually we get pretty rocked by that long run if we have it, and
I mean,
I felt pretty good.
we've talked about it, but it's like the long run is it's something that like the more seasoned guys that like know everybody, like you could literally get a notebook out and write down everybody's score before you launch. Everybody knows. And there's no opportunity. Like for me, action shooting and long range is usually my passing lane, but like I could have a jammed gun and get last place, or I could not see a target and get last place, or run by a target and get last place. But there's really no opportunity for that on a long run. Like maybe you catch a cramp, you know, like, I don't know, you almost died and still won the run. But
quite literally.
Yeah. Literally.
but yeah, it's one of those things. It's just like, do we need to run, or can we all just like skip out on this if we agree to give everybody the scores that they're going to get?
Yeah.
You know, like we know who's,
we'll sign a petition at the next event.
Anyway, moving on, because that's going to get me fired up. But,
we had one more event that day. It was farmer's carry with the bar, the axle bar with the handle, and single hand shooting. So the layout of the workout was like EMOM 6, rest 1 minute, EMOM 6. So your first EMOM 6, every minute on the minute. The first minute you're doing max distance of farmer's carry that you can. And I think the cone, what are they, like the little stick things? What do you think they were apart? Like 25 feet? If that? 20 feet?
If that, yeah.
20 feet, probably?
20 feet.
Okay, so you're counting, you get a point for every length that you carry the farmer's carry bar. So you decide what hand you want to start with. I started with my right hand. So right hand, all right hand in the first minute of carries. And then in the second minute, it was right hand pistol. And then the next minute, left hand carries, and then left hand pistol, right hand carries, right hand pistol. Then in your rest minute, you had to load all of your pistol magazines back up. So you brought a box to the stage of like 36 rounds, and you had to load 3 rounds of 12 in your rest minute, and then you had to repeat it, but you had to start with the opposite hand. So I did left, right, left for the final. And I think we had 45s on the bar, and guys had 65 pounds on each side of the bar.
not super heavy, but
No, but heavy enough to like get a little spicy for sure.
was there any separation in the carries, or was it?
It didn't feel like there was much separation, but after the event was over, I did realize that I gained some points there, but it was very small.
Yeah.
Very small separation in points.
So that stage was more of like
more of a single hand
shooting stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you didn't feel all that fatigued, like with your grip. It was like you were kind of tired, but my grip wasn't on fire or anything like that. But my shooting said that I was fatigued.
1 minute is not a lot of time. To put a gap on somebody, 1 minute isn't a lot, because like pretty much everybody can hang on to something for a minute with their hands. So did anybody set it down, or did
You kind of had to set it down.
No, like because I read the stage, and it said like if you don't carry it the whole way, or you drop it, then you have to
go
run.
touch.
You had to go touch.
Nobody
side.
dropped it in between the things.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
All right.
But you set it down at every distance that you did, which even more alleviates your grip. It was more of like, I'm just kind of tired than my grip is on fire.
Kind of turned into like a light deadlift / farmer's carry stage.
Yeah.
Ish.
But I mean, I shot pretty poorly for my standards, so apparently it fatigued me well. It did the job.
Well, like you shot bad for you, but then did everybody kind of not shoot super great?
I think everyone was pretty shocked by the first round based on I judged the other girls' heat, so I think all of us were like, "Oh shit!" on the first round when we shot, and then cleaned it up a little. Lupe is a fantastic shooter. She does really good with single hand, so her target was amazing. But I think the rest of us really struggled with that one. There really wasn't much like strategy you could do though, because like you said, there's not a lot of separation in the fitness. So it's just kind of pick something that you know you can get done and still be okay enough to shoot. But like the difference is 1 rep between me and the girl next to me, right? Like it's not.
Those stages are like, there's a little bit of forced intensity, because like you have to keep up with everybody. Not have to, but like you can also kind of just chill and only be 1 rep behind and then make it up on shooting. You know, I don't know. What does Hebner say? Not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a
Full
fan.
send.
Yeah, like maybe 2 minutes or a further distance, or like make people hurt.
Right.
You know, that's
That would have been spicier for sure.
I think that one was a pistol shooting scored stage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like she said, everyone was 1 to 2 reps away on the fitness.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess if you're going to test single hand shooting with that hand super stressed out, that's a way to do it.
Yeah.
So
It was effective.
I'm
in
not saying it's
testing
bad
that.
to test single hand shooting only on its stage and that be the
Yeah.
test. I'm just
Yeah.
saying like that's what it turned out to be.
yeah.
I got done and I was like, okay, like it just kind of was.
Yeah.
I didn't have that much fun doing it.
Yeah.
It was an okay workout, and it tested single hand shooting.
I mean,
it did
but-
that job,
It like we've also programmed events like that, and like nobody else really knew. Like we got some complaints about it
Yeah.
and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
it like what they didn't know is, well, this one bay is kind of short.
Right.
It's a short bay, and we have all this other stuff at these other things, and we need to find something to put in this bay, just like logistically, and like the options that you have aren't super exciting.
Sure.
So like there's that aspect of it too that is completely out of your control,
Right.
because the amount of ranges that you can have these events, like there's not a whole lot of ranges you can have these events at. So like sometimes you got to make it work.
right?
So,
It definitely wasn't a bad test. I just wasn't really my favorite. That's
yeah.
all. So that was the end of day one. Obviously, I was not sitting well after day one on the leaderboard.
She was in first place after day one by several points.
Was I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 6 or 7 points.
Oh, okay.
You didn't know
But
it, but I had done the math on some stuff and figured out that you're like 2 points ahead of whoever was in second.
Lupe, I think.
Yeah.
Regardless, it was still a rough start.
Yeah.
And for me, mentally, like I didn't obviously know that on the leaderboard. I was like, all right, well, you're fighting from behind today.
Yeah.
Like you're probably still in like third.
Yeah.
So I was most pleased with over the weekend. You already touched on this, like, but my mindset in that, like that night, I was calm and confident in my abilities to do well on the next day. You can never be sure of what might happen. Anything can happen in these. Your weapons could malfunction.
Yeah.
You could get a crazy dust storm out there. But
Yeah.
I knew that I had the capability to do well on the next day. So that gave me some like peace of like just knowing based on my training, like I can come through tomorrow.
Yeah.
And mentally I can walk into there and not be shaken by a rough start on that. And in the past, I have known the right thing mentality wise. Like I have known this is how you should feel in this moment, but I don't think that I've fully embodied it or believed it
Yeah.
at a heart level.
There's, you see a lot over the years, like how many of different competitors we've been at, and then like playing golf and stuff. Golf is like the most mentally torturous sport that you could probably imagine. But like if you haven't played golf, you wouldn't think, and there's no way to explain it, but it's terrible. But you can tell by the way somebody's talking whether they truly believe like, hey, I'm just going to rely on my ability to do the work tomorrow and my ability to shoot, and just I'm going to rely on that. And then I know that's going to take me where I need to go. There's some people that say it and you're like, you don't, like, I hear what you're saying, but you don't believe it.
Right.
And then there's some people that when they say it, that they mean it, there's only one person that knows this story, but I think he may have told you, but like at the first championship tactical games I ever had, I was in 15th place going into the last day. And one of my best friends was like, what are you doing? And he was like, how do you think today's going to go? And like had no skin on the bottom of my feet, missing 4 toenails, completely destroyed. And thanks for that. And
You're welcome.
I just looked at him and I was like, I feel sorry for what I'm about to do to my friends today. And like, you say stuff like that, and then immediately like, I shouldn't have said that. Like, that's horrible. Like, but I was 100%.
Yeah.
I believed
Yeah.
it. And that's what we've talked about doing, some like mindset podcast. People have asked us to do like you don't want to know.
Yeah.
It is a huge struggle to keep it. We've talked about it, but it's a huge struggle to keep the mindset that you have to have. You turn it on when they say go, and you have to turn it off when you're done with the event, you have to turn it off.
Yep.
Because it is not a pleasant thing for people to hear what you're thinking, and then it's not a pleasant thing to have to go apologize.
Yeah. Right.
So, and it's also like, you feel like that in the moment, but you mean it, but you don't wish bad on anybody.
Right.
It's just like, the competitor in you turns on, and it's not a pretty thing.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anybody says. They can be the most fun, loving, happy, whatever guy. Every single person that I've known that is a true like champion in their sport has a completely different mindset than you would ever believe when they're competing.
I call it light me and dark me.
Yeah.
Light me is like every day, me right now, like we're chilling and talking and being friends. And then competition is one of the only places that dark me is appropriate
Yeah.
to let loose.
Yeah.
And that's the glory in it. That's why it's so awesome to do it too. But you got to be able to turn it off, like you said.
Yeah, but like it's one of those things you can't really fake it, and that's what like you hear people saying stuff like they're behind and like, hey, how you feel? Like I feel great. You know, I'm really like accepting this challenge that I have tomorrow with these people in front of me, and I'm gonna do the best I can. And you're like, you don't believe any of this shit that you're saying. It's like you heard somebody talk like this once, and you're repeating it, but you don't believe it because you know when somebody's gonna do it because they're like, I feel bad for the people that are in front of me right now because it's going to get embarrassing for them today.
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, all right, you know, he's probably going to go mess some people up today. But, anyway, and it's another one of the other things, which this podcast isn't about it, but like one of the other things is like you also know when you believe it, and then you also know when it's not there.
Yeah.
Like last couple of years for me, it hadn't been there. Like, how are you going to do? I don't know. No, fuck it. I don't know. So anyway,
100%.
So going into stage 2 or day 2,
Yeah.
that was a big thing, like a good milestone, good thing that happened at a regional, so that like you have the confidence if you need it again.
It was like a growth moment for me to see maturity in my mindset. Like I don't struggle to tap into the darkness.
You weren't
in the
like
competition.
that a year ago.
No, but like I would get pretty off the rails if I wasn't where I wanted to be, and instead of trusting in what I can do.
Yeah.
So like I can see a lot of improvement in my mindset over the years, and that just comes from a lot of time practicing too.
And honestly, sometimes you have to be given permission, right? Like talking to somebody and you're like, oh, I'm not weird because that's the way I think, and like I can actually let that go.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, it's absolutely appropriate. You just got to keep it between go and stop.
Yeah.
And then as soon as somebody says stop, you have to like, Gil told me one time in 3-gun, he was like, if you're upset, you got to go to your truck for 5 minutes, get your stuff in order, and then come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I hadn't done any, like, I think he was saying it. Well, I know who he said it to, but I took that and put it in my pocket, and I was like, that's how you have to deal with this stuff. Like, go tear your truck apart from the inside, but don't let anybody see it. And then like gather your stuff back together, and then go respectfully talk to people. But you got to turn off that monster that was alive for 10 minutes or whatever.
Right.
So anyway,
It was good. It was a good moment for me. And then the next day we had 3 stages, and these were the harder physical set, the harder physical day. So we knew going into it that there was a lot of points on the table that had to do with fitness.
yeah.
And you know, usually on day 2 you're a little bit more tired, so perfect time to dig in here. The first stage we had a lighter GoRuck long bag that was like 60 pounds. It involved a lot of like moving down this like, I don't know, 50-yard stretch ish. There's a big Connex box sort of thing.
I would say
one
from
side.
the box to the firing line was probably 35 yards.
Okay. So we did some like burpees over this Connex thing that was maybe at like my hip height, I would say, and pretty wide. And then we went and shot, and then we did like clean and jerks with the bag, and then we shot, and then we did like bag throws and shot, and then in the time remaining, it was max burpees over the Connex thing again. The shooting was standing freestyle rifle and pistol too. The pistol and rifle targets were the same distance away, but our pistol targets were pretty big. They were the double circle, and honestly, they weren't that hard. Just quite frankly, not just for me, for everyone. It seemed like.
So did you think about going in this stage? Do you think about that? Like, pistol's probably gonna be pretty easy.
Yeah, I knew like I got to connect on that, and then I knew it was all about the rifle because they were smaller triangles and we were freestanding. So my strategy, I had a strategy going in of like going slower on the shooting to really hit my rifle, and then one round in, one round goes by, and I was a little taken off guard by how hard they were, and I just wasn't connecting, and I couldn't figure out why. I even would like take a quick break and then get back on it and was still missing. So I was like, all right, I'll just do better on the next round. And then I continued to shoot at the same slower pace because the girls were they were fast in their shooting cadence, and they were off the line before me. And I was like, it's okay. I'm going to stay here and like get my hits and make it worth it. And I should have like changed my game plan after the first round when I realized how hard the rifle was for me, but I didn't. I stuck with it and I kept my same cadence and kept shooting slow, which was stupid. And so I was way behind for the extra burpees at the end because everyone was making it to that across divisions, which is so terrible because it was super dusty out there.
And it was like so long.
It was people were up there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I
3 to 5
got up there at
minutes.
like 3.5 or something like that.
So not terrible. I don't know if this is what you meant, but like I really like it when at the end of the stage, if you finish, it's a 15-minute time cap. If you finish in 12, that there's something to do for 3 minutes that you can just sell out on.
Oh yeah,
like, I love that.
I like it.
But
Don't get me wrong.
Terrible because the dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible because the dust. It was so long, which it was good. Like programming wise, it sucked, but it was good. The dust was just everywhere because you're slapping this bag onto the ground, and then you're burping next to it, so it'd all come up in your face, and you're breathing it in. It's everywhere. You go burpee over. I have bruises everywhere on my legs from that event too, from climbing over that Connex box. So that was gritty. For sure. Yeah. And I was able to work myself back on the burpees a fair bit to make up for my slow shooting that sucked. Yeah. And I knew I had to. I knew I had to sell out because I was like, wow, I just totally effed up that rifle. So I got to sell it. And I caught up a fair bit to the girls that were quite a bit ahead of me, but it wasn't enough to close the gap. And I still didn't have an overall good performance. And ultimately, I look at that like I had a plan A and it wasn't working. And instead of having the awareness and humility to like step back and be like, all right, I need to change this. It was like I got a little too focused on trying to be the best at my plan. Yeah. And I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it, but I kept failing. And that wasn't...
Man, sometimes you're pulling the trigger and you're like, this ain't happening. And then you gotta just be like, well, I'm going to abandon that ship. We're just moving on, son. Because there's some targets, sometimes it's like, it doesn't matter how slow I shoot at this thing. It ain't happening.
Right.
And it's just like, time to rip some rounds down and get
I mean, the team event in West Virginia last year when we did that Echo Bike stage and we had those pistol rounds from the VTAC and they was at like 25 yards and they were itty bitty.
Biker.
And
it was itty bitty. And I looked at her and I was like, we ain't going to connect the round. Just aim center of the piece of paper and rip rounds.
Right after that stage was done, I looked at Meg and I was like, we should have just ripped rounds at that target and then tried on the one target that was bigger and then just collected points on the bike afterwards. How'd you like so it was like a bigger, it wasn't a regular like plyo box. It was a big box.
Yeah, it was a big box. That was fun. Something different to switch it up.
Like I wasn't there, so I don't really know, but I like the concept of it because like it forces you to get up and get over the box or like not stand up, but like you can't, it's really like you have to get over it.
Well, not only that, you had to get the bag over it because if you didn't throw it hard enough, it was in your way trying to get over get over the box. So I thought that was good that you couldn't just like give a half-ass toss and the bag's on the other side. Like you had to throw it.
That was pretty cool. Like
it was good.
I know that they can't take big boxes like that everywhere, but like that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
Sometimes the ranges have just cool stuff that you can toss in that is unique, and that was it for sure.
Well, like Sawmill had those big crates that y'all were able to pick up last year at the team event
those
out
things
there.
weighed like 50 pounds. They looked huge, but me and Zach were like running with that thing, talking about how we were going to get over the Connex. They felt like they weighed.
It's just annoying.
Pounds. They probably weighed 100, 150 pounds.
Yeah,
they didn't weigh a lot.
Got it.
That stage was also really with your gear. So even in the 4 parts where you started with burpees over, so you just get dirty right away. But being really mindful about how you are storing your things so that you have the least amount of ammo exposed was really important in that.
That's right. So, was that the one where like you did the sandbag cleans to your shoulders or something like that?
Yeah. So like you began with the burpees though. So you have all of your mags on you and you're burping in the dirt. So, trying to protect your equipment
and then
the
picking
best
up
you
that
can.
bag and putting it over your head and all the dust just rains down
all over you. I was literally covered in dirt everywhere to start off the day.
Immediately take back my comment about wishing that I went there, because I don't like dust.
We got the dude wipes at check-in, just side note, and I literally took dude wipe bath showers or whatever. Like
She
baths,
probably used
3 times a
80
day.
dude wipes on that after that stage.
Yeah.
I had to because it was all over you. Anyways, it was just something I held with me after that event, was like being creative with protecting my gear so that it stayed functioning.
I've had many a dude wipe showers in my life.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those were great. Next stage was the rope climbs and bag overs.
Did anybody have problems on the last one we were talking about? Did anybody
Yes.
like jams and stuff?
Oh yeah. For sure. I won't name any names, but yes, people for sure. I know in the women's field.
So
'cause
what I'm
with
hearing is some sponsored shooter with some sponsored gun had some problems with their sponsored stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's just the way it works.
really important to take care of your gear if there's elements like that.
Sorry for throwing somebody under the bus. There.
I mean, maybe they were taking care of their gear, but it just was a little finicky in the dirt too, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, next stage was the rope climbs and the bag over, which was my favorite stage of the weekend. It was super fun. It was 4 rounds. For men's elite, it was 4 bag overs at 225 and 3 rope climbs each round. For females, it was 4 bag overs at 150 and 2 rope climbs each round for the 4 rounds total. But you got to split it up however you wanted. So, and the female's bag was a 200 that was filled to 150, which I'm saying that because it changes things.
Yeah.
A different bag height.
Size.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's definitely different to move, but that made it really fun because it was something different than what we always see. So again, getting some different elements to make these regionals like less monotonous and give you some extra flavor. It's literally the same thing, but tweak it so it's slightly different and it makes it exciting.
Yeah.
Makes it a little different. So on this one, I had a plan that was very unique and played to my strengths. And since there is a strategy allowing you to break it up however you wanted, you could definitely play to your strengths as an athlete.
Yeah.
And this was one, in my opinion, that it was very beneficial to stay in your lane on mentally.
Yeah.
You can very easily look over at someone next to you and then start to question your own plan because they're doing something different and maybe they're going a little faster at it perceivably to start. But like, just because it's someone else's plan, their plan is going well for them doesn't mean their plan would go well for you. So I had my idea, which was to start, I did all 4 bag over and then the 2 rope climbs because the bag overs are traditionally tougher for me and rope climbs are a little bit easier, which is not usual at that weight for most people, but it's what I did. So I had a really good time with this one because I just executed my plan based on what I had laid out and I shot, at a good cadence and just felt very flow-like.
Yeah.
Being in my own lane like that. I do think the rifle was a little easy. I think it was the big triangle. And I don't know what distance it was. Like somewhere between, Jake, what do you think it was? Like 150?
Somewhere around 150.
Yeah. It wasn't that far. So it was a pretty generous target. So you could really pick up your cadence on it if you had a good position.
I do like that. Like, here's the work that must be completed before you go to the firing line each round, and then you get to pick how you do it. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like I don't know that we've done it, but I'm sure we have at some point. But
Something like that, yeah.
yeah, that's what I like. That's just like, here's the stuff you got to do. You can break it up however you need to do it and get back to the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was really fun. The pistol was a good size and distance to make it matter.
Yeah.
So that was cool. Really enjoyed that one. Again, since it's so individualized, I don't have anything really more to say about it than Then stick to your game plan based on what's good for you.
Like, there were some people that were doing the bag first and then rope climb, and then some people doing the rope climb and then the bag, and then there were some people that were
Going back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah. All right.
And I think never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
It was totally spread, like meaning everyone had unique plans, but I think mine was pretty rare. Last one was the sled drag event. This one was 3 rounds of fitness with 2 rounds of shooting in between the 3 fitness bouts. The fitness was you put sandbags over a tall yoke We had one Rogue Jerry bag, which I think was 85, and then one 55.
Yeah.
So you put them over the tall yoke, and then you load them onto your sled, and then you drag your sled in this loop that is in the sand. So it was quite difficult going over these little ruts and like mountain little things that had developed in the sand. And it was tough. Like, it was a tough lap for sure with that amount of weight. I know it sounds light, but in the elements, it was good.
I remember, like, because you always try to keep sleds in a path, because if you keep it in a lane, there's some lanes that suck real bad, and there's some lanes that get smooth and whatever, but it's like a washboard, right? So to explain it a little, like, from what it feels like when I've done it, is over the day, which is why like super squads are pretty important, and then like having, if there's a lot of good people at a match, have them in the two groups right next to each other, so everybody has a similar experience. But like, you're going like, oh, this isn't too bad, and then all of a sudden your sled hits one of them, and you're like,
Yeah.
and it like pulls you back, and then you get on the downhill side of it, and it's like you almost fall forward, and yeah, that's a different. It's different.
It was especially tough too, because the first half was easy and the second half was the hard half with the most bumps.
Yeah.
So it was good. It was very effective for sure. You
Yeah.
got to the line, you shot rifle off a hanging PVC. Really wasn't that hard of a target if you had a good position. And then pistol was off the VTAC as well. So that was our only stage that we shot off of something for the pistol. And it wasn't bad. I think it was like 15 and 15, do another lap, 15, 15, final lap, done. And I said earlier that I felt like this was a graveyard stage because that final fitness round, ending on that fitness round, was really rough because you have nothing to save it for, and you might as well hammer down, and your legs are pretty smoked at that point. So I was definitely laid out after that one. It was tough.
Is that the one that you said like the work penalty was pretty stiff? If
Yeah.
You didn't,
So one lap was like 240 seconds or something like that. 240 seconds.
like a 4-minute-ish penalty. Yeah.
Which is massive, a massive penalty. So it's
But
really important to dig in.
I prefer that more than like, oh, if you don't do this, it's a 30-second penalty, and then people just camp on the line. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. It made it worth it to get that fitness in, and you
Yeah.
definitely had to earn it. So I thought it was really fun. I thought it was going to be kind of lame when I first saw it, honestly. Only 2 shooting iterations. Like, it was just a sled, but feeling it, it was effective.
So 3 sled drags, 2 shooting
Yeah.
rounds. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
It was good.
It was 15 and 50, so 30. So it was still 90 rounds. That's still a lot of shooting, but it was just, or no,
No, 60.
60 rounds.
60 rounds total. So maybe it could have been more shooting somehow. I don't know.
I mean, but like sometimes you need to make a physical bias stage too.
Right.
So, like
Agreed.
that one single hand
True,
stage
yeah.
was
shooting bias.
shooting bias, and
Yep.
that one's physical. So yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, it was a banger to end on, that's for sure. I was glad I was done after that because my legs were pretty smoked, and I was pretty tired after that. So overall, I think that this event in total was unique compared to other events that we've done. Most of the stages were based on fitness and shooting, like tactical games stages.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Versus
yeah.
like specialties.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our specialty events were was the mover and the O course, and that's only 150 points
Yeah.
instead of 200.
So it was more like traditional tactical game style stages, less of you're a specialist at running, you're a specialist at
Two gun.
Yeah.
Long range, whatever.
Yeah.
It was a lot of, just normal events, which I thought was awesome training. Like I said, it was a breath of fresh air to not have a long run, to have something different on the long range, even though I still feel kind of conflicted about it. It was something different, and
Yeah.
it was fun to switch it up, I guess, there.
I guess like it's something different. It seems like it's something different. It's a good stage, but maybe it's not a, like, going into it with the mindset that it was a long range stage
Was wrong.
was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, like, this is a mover stage and they shouldn't be thought of as the same, I
Correct.
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Not sure if that's how things are going to be going forward, where we get a little bit more diversity across events and programming like
Yeah.
that, where you have some that are, I don't know,
I
old
can
style versus
guarantee
new
with
style,
my
but
freaking luck, wherever I go, there's going to be a 5-mile run every
yeah.
Sign me up for 80% and let me go on. So
Yeah. But overall, it was a really beautiful venue too. I was
Yeah.
telling Jake after that I really liked that range. It was nice views for sure. We had a mountain like right behind us, and then on the other side, when you look out, there's mountains over there, and then there is ATV, UTV trails like all around. So right at the entrance of the range, you could take this road left, and it drops you into miles and miles and miles of these trails. That it was so awesome because with Volcon out there, like Jake had brought out the mini golf cart and the Evos. So we were ripping them between events, and it was really fun.
Did you get to? Is that where y'all did the demo stuff for the Volcon bikes?
So, like,
I just let people take them from the booth, and I was like, "You get up to the front, you go left, and go down the front road, which is like 2 miles long.
Sign this waiver.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
and
see you
then
later.
I go, if you go right, I was like, if you go right at the front, which is back in the trails where she was talking about coming from the other direction now, I was like, don't go behind the berms, because there were dirt bikers going on BLM trails
Oh no.
that were, I'm not kidding,
like
bro.
you would look up from the berm.
Literally directly behind the berm, there's dirt bikers going up.
Oh, no.
And the
We didn't
first
go
time
there.
I saw it, I did a head count of my bikes. I was like, all right, I got 1, 2, 3. Okay, got those. I got 1, 2 of those. I go, all right, it's not my stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know who's up there, but it's not my gear.
Oh,
And they were out there all day. And we even told some of them, like, hey, y'all realize that this is going on? And they were like, okay, see.
Yeah. We didn't go on those.
So quick safety thing. One, if you're at a range and you're like directly behind the berm, meaning 50 to 100 yards behind a berm, and you hear zzz, zzz, you're completely safe.
Right.
Like I owned a range. We had 3 rows of berms or 3 rows of bays, two rows of 3.
3.
3. At one place 4 for a little while, and then we demoed the deal. But those rounds are 150, 200 feet over your head.
Right.
And they're, if you hear it going, zzz, it's spinning, and you're fine.
Right.
There's absolutely nothing's going to happen to you. Calm the freak down. Like grown men, oh my God, we're going to get, you're not going to get hit by a bullet. You're fine. If you're 800 yards downrange, you're where those bullets are landing
Right
now. And like more than likely the real noisy ones are spinning real hard, and like they don't have a lot of oomph behind them. Like it's going to hurt when it hits you, but you're fine. The ones that just like get shot over the berm though, completely different story.
Right. I would say these guys were probably riding, 250, 300 yards behind the berm, but they were up a mountain. So if you did straight distance, it was 500, 600 yards. And it was like, yeah, bro, y'all are in the fall zone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as the targets are in the right height, then you're
Yeah.
impacting the berms. It's fine.
They
Yeah.
were.
It didn't seem
They
concerning. But
But if someone sneezed wrong and let a
Yeah.
round rip, it
if
was
someone
just
was
like,
being
holy
stupid
cow.
and like,
Yeah. That's what at TSA, man, Aaron, heartless. If he came up and you had a target in the wrong spot at the bay, you just lost your membership and you can never come back.
Yeah.
And it was for that reason. So anyway.
That's crazy. Well, we didn't do that, but we definitely ripped it out on those trails. Blair and I took the golf cart out for a while and saw an antelope.
They were
and-
gone on the golf cart for like an hour and a half.
Did Blair drive?
Yeah, she did. I make her drive every time that we do something like that.
I looked at her and said, don't ever
It's so
let a
fun.
Louisiana swamp girl drive a vehicle
Just don't
like
let Blair
this.
drive. How about that?
But she's so fun.
It's fun until it's not.
Until she's calling me or Nate to come tow
Yeah.
it out.
It was great. And then we took him out with Corinna too. It's just cool to have something fun to do with competitors between events. Like you said, you can get pretty stuck in like the competitive mindset sometimes in competition. And it was good to release some of the heaviness and actually like enjoy each other and make some memories with friends going out on those bikes. And it's something that doesn't require a lot of like I don't know, weirdness. Like you're like, hey, come rip this bike with me. It's a good bonding moment between people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was really fun. I enjoyed that about that competition. I think if they go back, it's a place that I would like to go to again. I hope Volcon goes again. And then the town nearby was easily accessible, had good accommodations and stuff too. So it was a good spot for sure. They had a lot of bays.
You remember the Airbnb we had in Arizona? It was kind of like real nice in that like neighborhood like thing.
Had
It was like a condo style.
had a pool right behind it. I think
Kind
so.
of. It
Yeah,
was
all
anyway.
kinda
It was like that. It was like a rather new neighborhood. Some Airbnbs spread out
Yeah.
through the neighborhoods, and other people live there and stuff. But it was very upscale.
Lots
That's
of
cool.
new
And
restaurants and
wasn't
places
an arm
like
and a
that.
leg,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it was cool.
it was a good area
liked
to go
it.
back to.
Nice. Not like GTI where like
Right.
Barnwell's the closest one and it's
Right.
the hood.
Yeah.
Right. No, this was like a nice place to go to for
Yeah.
sure. It was
like
cool.
Event 7 Walmart.
And if I mean it's,
Meridian's not much different.
That's when Zach pulls off his shirt and turns it inside out. It's like nobody needs to know I'm a cop right now.
Right.
I think it's pretty rare too that we get to go explore after events. Like we, you know, a lot of us have jobs, families that we get back to,
Yeah.
but that was a cool place that had a lot of stuff nearby to travel to.
I'm always on a plane at 5 a.m. Monday morning.
I
headed
know
home,
it's rare.
so,
It's for
yeah.
sure rare. I respect that. It definitely had the opportunity to do some cool stuff nearby if you did have the time to stay.
So I guess let's see. Nationals is next for me. Nationals next for you.
Mm-hmm.
You doing nationals or no?
I think we're gonna have a booth set up.
Oh, okay.
So
No nationals for Jake. Maybe next year.
my knees are just now getting better. I don't want to ruin them.
Yeah.
I'm-
Fuck, that's smart. Been
I just
there.
got to where I can run, and
Yeah.
I
You
did
finished
squats for the first time. 2 weeks ago. It's been a while. We were gone a minute.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I did squats for the first time in months. So it's
Yeah, I
coming back.
came in when you were squatting. I was surprised
Yeah.
to see you squatting. Yeah.
We're getting there, but
Yeah.
definitely not in fighting shape yet.
You were doing box squats, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. Super heavy 135, man. Just maxing out. Box
You
squats.
made it look heavy.
It felt heavy.
It's all right. We maxed out on deadlifts today, and I missed my heaviest deadlift by 105 pounds. I tried heavier, and you might as well have bolted that thing to the ground.
Cool. You got anything else?
No, I don't think I do. Do you got
All right.
anything else?
I'm good. You good?
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Cool. We'll see you guys next time.